Have you ever thought about why there are people out there that seem to be less intelligent than you are, that are still making way more money than you're making? There's one extremely simple reason behind this, and I used to be frustrated by this shit. I was seeing people that were dumb, in my opinion, that's retarded, and making way more money than I was making. And I realized why that was. I applied it in my own life, and everything changed for me. I went from being broke, living with my parents, to now having set myself up financially for the rest of my life, having complete freedom in my early 20s, making thousands of dollars per day, and traveling all over the world while doing so. And all it really comes down to understanding like what creates success, what is actually going to make you successful versus what's going to keep you stuck. And it's extremely simple. What creates success is you need to have an extreme amount of belief in yourself. That's why some people go out and achieve an immense amount of success without them being smart, without them being very intelligent whatsoever. They still achieve all the success because they just have this massive, you want to call it ego or self-belief, conviction, whatever you want to call it. Because the level of belief that you have in yourself is what determines what you achieve. You're only going to take the actions for long enough to achieve success if you genuinely believe that you can actually get it. It wouldn't make sense for anyone. If you look at anyone who's like a professional athlete, for example, it wouldn't make sense for them to train so hard, push themselves so hard. Look at Michael Jordan, for example. He wouldn't have trained so hard, all those sessions he did and like pushing himself to the absolute limit, if he didn't have a belief deep down that he was capable of getting there. That's where everything starts. The biggest reason why you haven't made it yet is because probably at some point of your journey, you lost that belief in yourself. You stopped believing that whatever business model you're doing, whatever goals that you have are actually possible for you to achieve. It's sad, but it's the truth. That's exactly what happened to me. When I started off my journey, I was trying different online businesses. The reason why I failed with running an agency and doing trading and doing drop shipping wasn't because the business models didn't work. Like I could have made money with any of those different businesses. For sure, it's possible to do so. But I stopped believing in them, and because of that, I stopped putting in my full commitment, and that's why I stopped seeing success with them. Why I didn't succeed with them. It's always about the belief. When you lose belief in a business model, when you lose belief in yourself, everything else falls apart. That's why you need to have a belief in your own head. You need to have a belief. It comes before everything. So how do we actually develop this? How do we develop that belief in yourself, that conviction, just like stick to something to see success? The way that I did it for myself was by always holding promises to myself. It starts off very simple things. Like when you wake up in the morning, do you make your bed, for example? Do you wake up at the same time that you said you're gonna wake up at? Okay? Like simple things. When you say you're gonna do something, you say you're gonna make your bed, you say you're gonna wake up at 7 a.m. tomorrow. When you say you're gonna work out, when you're gonna eat healthy, when you say you're gonna do 10 outreaches today to land a client for whatever business model you're doing. When you say you're gonna do something and you do not do that, every single time that happens, you break a promise to yourself. You're unconsciously telling your own brain and telling yourself that you're not someone who's capable of sticking to what you say you're gonna do. And that develops, or that destroys your conviction. It destroys your self-confidence, and it destroys the belief that you have in yourself. Knowing that to be true, we can also switch this and focus on everything that you say you're gonna do, you always do it. When I started doing this, I was very, very clear on like, if I set out a goal, I only set out a goal and inputs that I'm confident that I can actually do. So I lowered my goals. Instead of saying I'm gonna wake up at like 5 a.m. every single day, I said I was gonna wake up at like 8 a.m. for example. And I stuck to that and I never missed on it. Set more realistic goals, goals that you can actually stick to every single time. And that hires what's called your say and do ratio. When you have a high say do ratio and you always do what you say you're gonna do, you become more confident because you become more capable. You teach yourself that I am someone who's capable of doing what I say I'm gonna do. And that develops this conviction. It makes you feel more confident, more strong about yourself, it's like powerful overall because you have this proof, undeniable proof that you can stick to the stuff that you set out for yourself to achieve as well. And that's extremely powerful. Your say and do ratio is the foundation of your conviction and your belief in yourself. When you have a high say do ratio, you have this confidence. You feel like you can go out and fucking crush the world and do whatever you want to do. The times of my life when I had the most conviction, the most belief in myself has always been the times where I have the highest say do ratio. So that's where it all starts. You can implement that right away after watching this video. Just like start setting goals you can always stick to and focus on setting inputs, setting out targets, daily non-negotiables, stuff you set out to do on a daily basis, wake up times, amount of work you're gonna be doing, etc. And always stick to those inputs, never miss. That's gonna build conviction and confidence in yourself so much faster than anything else is gonna do for you. That's number one. Once you've done that, then the next thing is learning how do we actually speak? Like, how do you show up? If you're gonna try to do like online business, try to make money online. For example, like I've been doing with high ticket sales, which is in my opinion the best model to get into as a beginner to make money online. It's all about learning how to speak with confidence as well. Okay, how do you speak to yourself and to other people? How do you show up with that conviction that makes you money, that allows you to develop skills, that allows you to then get paid as quickly as possible? How do we actually do so? It is by understanding that the confidence that you have right now, that the current version of you is not going to speak with the same conviction, with the same confidence as the version of yourself that's already successful. You know, this is pretty obvious. Like the version of you that's already making 10, 20, 30K a month, it's going to speak in a very, very different way from how you're speaking right now. Which means if you want that to become your reality, the way that we make quick changes and quickly level up income, that's been true for me every single time I've had a big income jump. It's always been because I simply started moving and acting and speaking from the same confidence of the version of me who's already successful. If you're trying to become successful right now, trying to make 10K a month, and you're like talking like the version of you who's like, I don't know if I can do this, I'm kind of unsure, I'm kind of trying this out, I'm trying out this business model or trying out this thing right now to make it work, that shows up in your conviction in how you speak. If instead you step into, okay, the version of me who's already achieved 10, 20K a month, how do they move? How do they speak? What's their energy like? What's their conviction like? Where is their confidence? Where does that come from? And you step in and you move like them right now. That is the cheat code to showing up in a way where people are going to buy into you. Clients, potential opportunities, everything's going to flow to you when you're speaking from their perspective, because people buy into you because you have that confidence. That's what allowed me to see pretty quick success, go from 0 to 10K a month in 3 months, because I already spoke like the version of me that made 10K a month before it was my reality. It was already mine internally. I showed up like them, I showed up with that confidence, and I spoke from that new identity that I was building before it was my reality. I moved like them, made decisions like them, everything in my life was aligned like them, and then I got those results quickly as well. Reality has had to catch up. You can do the exact same thing right now. After watching this video, sit down, what does the version of you that you want to become actually look like? How do they move? How do they speak? Align yourself with that right now. What are their daily non-negotiables? What do they do every single day? You stick to that every single day. That's going to build that high say-do ratio. And then you speak like them, you move like them exactly with the same confidence, same energy, and that becomes your reality quicker than you can even imagine for yourself. Hopefully this makes sense. If you want to learn the business model that I do, high ticket sales, from me, one-on-one, get my hand holding to get into this industry and get your first role and get your first 5, 10K a month doing this, you can apply down below, book a call with me, see if you're a good fit. Any questions, DM me on Instagram, and I'll see you guys tomorrow as always. Take care, ciao.